From the Warhammer Imperium magazine, collected short stories narrated by J.H. Miniatures. At the request of Inquisitor Draxos, Holy Fire. Varentis too seethes with treason and blasphemy. The wretched have fallen into the cold embrace of the ruinous powers and desecrated this holy world. Show the traitors no mercy, sisters. The stain of heresy must be burned away if this world is to be saved from damnation. Sister Superior Emilia Novena. Varentis II's habitation blocks and cathedral districts crawl with heretical cultists and fiendish abominations. The Order of our Martyred Lady have descended upon the world in force, tasked with purging the traitors and liberating the corrupted world. With a pneumatic hiss and the mechanical grinding of gears, the drop vessel's assault ramp opened. Sister Constance Vi, flamer in hand, strode out into the chaotic nightmare that was Varentis II. Rubble, spent ammunition, and broken bodies lay scattered around, and in the distance the once proud spires of the planet's Cathedra Mirabilis were lit by fires. Crude, profane icons blighted the structure. Vi felt the anger burn within her as she gazed upon the desecration. The stench of death hung thick in the air, a sickly scent that mingled with acrid smoke and the promethium fumes trailing from the nozzle of her flamer. Her fellow sisters pressed forward beside her. Unarmoured sisters Repentia led the charge, howling rabid prayers to the God Emperor, the roar of their vast chainsaws filling the air as they clambered over makeshift barricades and threw themselves upon bands of traitors. Whip in hand, a sister Repentia accompanied her charges, driving them forwards with agonizing lashes. In the wake of the penitent's charge, battle sisters advanced steadily, picking off targets with their bolt guns. Desperate heretics returned fire from the ramparts and skeletal ruins of Varentis II, the majority of their fire glancing off ceramite armour and deflecting harmlessly away. Such was the volume of fire, however, that a few unfortunate sisters fell. Their deaths only served to inspire those that remained, and the volume of the sisters' chants and prayers only increased in volume. Ahead, the hollowed-out shell of a hab block rose from the rubble, its balconies and windows plastered with profane icons to nameless entities. Vi whispered a prayer, averting her gaze from the blasphemous totems, figures clad in blood-stained fatigues, their skin carved with unholy symbols fired down from above. A single autocannon manned by a trio of cackling rebels stood atop the roof, spitting armour-piercing fire into the sisters' ranks. "Breach the building! Take out that weapon!" came the Sister Superior's cry. Vi watched her squad mates surge forwards, clambering over the broken bodies of Repentia and cultists alike, swinging the stocks of their bolt guns and bludgeoning foes aside. Atop the rubble, crouched behind a sandbag barricade in the entrance of the shelled building, crouched a gang of heretics, wildly firing their lasguns down into the mass of armoured bodies. Vi took up a wide stance, pointed her flamer towards the cowering foes, and fired the weapon. A jet of liquid promethium shot forth from the nozzle of the weapon, coating the traitors. The flamer roared to life, igniting the liquid fuel. The heretics screamed in agony as crackling flame consumed them, igniting spare ammunition and causing an explosion that rained ferrocrete and clumps of sand down around the sisters. The Sister Superior stepped across the threshold, bolt pistol ending the agony of a burning traitor. Vi and her sisters followed their commander into the crumbling structure, heading for the stairwell that rose towards the roof. More heretics rushed from the antechambers, makeshift weapons and blood-encrusted chainswords clutched in their hands. With her sisters close at hand, Vi was unable to utilize her flamer for fear of wounding or slaying her kin. A snarling foe swung his gore-encrusted chainsword towards her. She threw her left hand, catching the heretic's wrist, and twisted hard. Her opponent squealed, losing his grip upon the roaring weapon. Shifting her grip on the flamer, she swung the butt end of the weapon into the man's face, crushing his skull. She kicked the limp body of her foe away, and followed her sisters up the stairwell. Satisfied that her squad were clear, she turned, flamer at her hip, and sent a wave of fire into the writhing mass of wounded cultists. The stench of burning flesh accompanied the sisters as they ascended the stairwell. More heretics rushed down from the roof, desperately hurling themselves towards the battle sisters, to no avail. The Sister Superior's power sword glistened as it hummed through the air, parting limbs from bodies and pitching corpses into the roaring inferno below. Above, the percussive thud-thud of the autocannon could still be heard. Taking the stairs two at a time, Vi's squad emerged upon the rooftop, a cluster of traitors clad in a mixture of threadbare robes and battered flak armour were clustered around the autocannon. Some rushed towards the sisters. Bolt gun rounds found them before they could close the distance, blasting gaping holes in flesh and armour alike. As they fell, Vi swung the barrel of her weapon towards the autocannon, catching the gunner's panicked gaze as he stared down the nozzle of the flamer. With a roar of hatred, she pulled the trigger and unleashed a torrent of cleansing holy fire. Clad in ebon power armour, battle sisters of the Order of our Martyred Lady unleashed the Emperor's wrath upon the heretics. So there you go, a short one today. That's story number 9 done. We are back to the short stories now, at least until... Let's have a look. Looks like, yeah, story 15, Festering Hordes, because then that's a two-parter. And then you've got Crux Terminatus, which is also a two-parter. City of Death, two-parter. Supreme Command is not. That goes back to the short. So 15 to 17, so 18 is when it starts again with the shorts. I don't know. It's an interesting one because I know when the magazine was released, story 9 coincided with. Goodness, if I had the other book next to me, I could say which. Well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't just because these stories didn't come out issue 1, story 1, issue 2, story 2. They were spread throughout. But I know a few issues into the magazine, all of a sudden you'd had, you know, quite a few Necrons, quite a few Space Marines, and then they started introducing the other factions, like the Mechanicus, like the Sisters of Battle, which would have tied in with these models, would have tied in with these stories. So yeah, what can I say? It's simple, it's to the point. It's always a funny one trying to do a woman's voice when sort of reading this, because the battle spirit, breach the building, take out that weapon. It's how do you do it without it sounding silly or corny or just like you're taking the mick. But it is what it is. I'm no professional voice actor, I just make this up as I go along. Anyway, thank you all for listening, boys and girls, and I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.